Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the intro to the muscular system and homeostasis. Today, we are going to be learning about a variety of muscles found in the body and how they support our bodily functions. Your goal is to be able to identify muscle types and be able to identify them under a microscope. You're also going to be able to tell me where these certain muscles are located in the body and describe the function of each type of muscle. Ultimately, our goal is to then also explain the hierarchy of muscles and how they work. So much of the heat that your body produces, you have a temperature of about 37 degrees Celsius, is generated actually by your muscle activity. Your muscle is a highly specialized organ that converts chemical energy, which is essentially energy made from like your cellular respiration, into kinetic energy, which is energy of movement. All your muscles contract and shorten. So when I say they contract, they actually get shorter, and you are making ATP. We're going to talk about the three different types of muscles. I'm going to link this lovely video into the Edpuzzle so that you can watch this, as it really gives a good quick explanation on how your muscular system works. So the types of muscles we have, the first one is cardiac. Now, cardiac muscle is found in your heart. It's very specialized. It's the only muscle that is called the cardiac muscle. Its appearance is striated, tubular, and branched. Now, just write that down in the chart that you have. I will show you and explain what those look like here in a minute. Now, each cell has a number of nuclei. We have one nuclei in each one, and the contraction of it is involuntary, meaning we don't control it. We don't think about it. We don't do anything for it. Our body just naturally knows that our heart should beat. We also have smooth muscle, which is found in most of, if not all, the locations of the walls of our organs, except our heart, because our heart has specialized muscle. Its appearance is non-striated, and it has one nuclei. It also contracts due to involuntary contractions. We don't control it. You don't say to your small intestine, ooh, peristalsis, contract, push food around. You don't tell your stomach to rumble and move around and actually make your food digest. You don't tell your lungs to breathe in and out, okay? You do not do any of that. That is involuntary. Your skeletal muscles are located and attached to the bones of your body, and they appear striated and tubular. They, on the other hand, have lots and lots of nuclei, and we control their movement. So although you don't physically think, grab pen, move arm, you are still consciously aware that you are grabbing a pen and bringing it to your body. So that is a voluntary movement that we do. All muscle contractions are usually in around the world of voluntary, unless of course you get that lovely little muscle spasm, which we're going to talk about later. So as promised, I said I was going to show you guys what they look like. Sorry, I gotta just scroll back here. Oh, it's not letting me scroll back. Here we go. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. So as promised, I said I would show you what this looked like. So here are the three different types of muscles and what they look like under a microscope. So the pictures on the right are drawings. The pictures on the left are what you would see under a microscope. So the first one up there is a skeletal muscle. Striated means that they look like they have striping to them. So you'll notice that that skeletal muscle almost looks like it has a pinstripe to it. That's because that is striated. Tubular means they're round and look like tubes. So if you look at the drawing of it, you can almost see like those muscles look like a tube, okay? You will notice there's also lots of nuclei found all around that one muscle. Whereas smooth muscle is non-striated, so you're never gonna find that striping, but they are also tubular. You'll notice that they're really thin, tiny tubes. Cardiac muscle is striated, so it has stripes, but it's tubular, but it's also branched. So you'll notice that it doesn't go straight up and down into tubes, but they branch into each other, almost like tree branches or the roots of a tree. All of our muscles, when they contract, they shorten. So as I do a bicep curl, okay, my bicep is shortening. It's pulling my forearm towards my shoulder, okay? But muscles work in pairs, okay? So what that means is as I contract my bicep, my tricep has to relax, because if I pulled both towards it, my arm would bust. I can't contract two muscles at once, all right? So all your muscles have like these contrasting pairs. Your legs have them, your back has them, your fingers even have them, okay? Everybody has some sort of contrasting pair that helps them move. One contracts and one lengthens, and then they vice versa. Our skeletal muscles are what we're going to focus on mostly in this class. So what's going to happen is we are going to talk about how it supports the body. So skeletal muscles support the body and they oppose the forces of gravity that are upon us. They help us stand upright. Our bones help us move. So muscle contractions account for all the movements of our arms and legs, but also of all the other parts of our bodies, eyes, facial expressions, and breathing. The skeletal muscles maintain us in a constant body temperature due to ATP breakdown, releasing lots of heat, which is distributed around our body. And they help protect our internal organs and stabilize our joints. Skeletal muscles pad the bones, protect our organs and our tendons, and hold us all together. So this is a big chart in your notes if you want to pause it here and just take these down really quick. So the last few things we want to quickly talk about is the hierarchy of muscles. So this is showing a bone, a tendon, and then what the muscles look like. So as you're looking here, you can see along the side there is a hierarchy. We call it a muscle fiber bundle, muscle fibers, myofibrils, and myofilaments. Myofilaments are the tiniest ones, and that's what we're going to focus on when we talk about muscle contractions. So I'm going to work from the littlest to the biggest. So if you look in the picture, the red and blue on the right-hand side are our myofilaments. They are called actin and myosin, and they are found inside myofibrils. So meaning there are tons of actin and myosin found in a tiny, tiny little strip of myofibril. That myofibril is then bundled with a ton of them, and that becomes a muscle fiber, which is protected by a membrane, and they are all bunched together into muscle bundles. And then those bundles are all bundled again together to get a muscle. So essentially, guys, it's like grabbing one pencil, then two pencils, then three pencils, then four pencils until you have a whole handful of pencils. You're just adding and adding and adding to the bunch. There are a few key vocab words that we need to discuss quickly before we can move on to a muscle contraction. So something that's very important is a myoglobin. Myoglobin is an oxygen binding pigment. It's like hemoglobin, which we're going to talk about in chapter 8. It's essentially special to skeletal muscle fibers, and it brings oxygen to the muscle. The sarcoplasm is the cytoplasm of the muscle, and it contains the myoglobin. So that's where it essentially sits, and then it has the energy for the contraction stored there. The sarcoplasmic reticulum stores all calcium ions needed for muscle contractions, and we're going to discuss in muscle contractions how important calcium is. And lastly, the sarcolemma is the membrane of the muscle fiber. It helps with the exit and entry of the materials. So if we go back to the picture from before, you can see these in the pictures. So if you look at the fiber bundle, you'll notice sarcolemma is there. So there's the sarcolemma, which is the membrane. You will also notice the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which is just located just below. You will not see myoglobin on here or sarcoplasm, but essentially those are the four keywords that as we move forward, you're going to need to know